Hello, my name is Dweller, and in this video I'm going to be going over the very basics of playing Stepford County Railway. This video is targeted at people who have barely played the game, if not at all, though of course anyone can watch this as a reminder. I've noticed amongst my friends that they all have issues when booting up and trying Stepford County Railway for the first time, even in a private server. I recommend you watch the full video to familiarise yourself with the game. However, I have put timestamps in the description, and I am showing them on screen now. I won't bore you with a long introduction, so sit back and enjoy the video. Alright, I'm going to start off with the simple task of joining and loading up the game. Though it may be as simple as clicking play and loading up the game, there are a few things that you should note about the loading procedure. First of all, your game is most likely to crash if you're on a low-end mobile device. Unfortunately, this means you will need to upgrade to a laptop, PC or console to play the game, unless you have a mobile device with decent RAM, as stated in the game's description. The game will load you into the server, followed by setting up the map if the server is new, followed by loading the assets including the trains. At this point, you'll see a small button that says skip preload. I don't recommend using this button, as it completely ruins the game's map and trains, as you can see here, though it can be useful if your assets are taking a few minutes to load. Once the workspace, part streamer, and user interface are loaded, you should be able to see an animated intro to the game with background music. For copyright purposes, I have removed this music. You can skip this intro if you wish, though it doesn't last very long. If you notice that the intro sequence is laggy, it means most of your game experience would be laggy, so you should probably turn down your graphics quality. Now I'm going to show you how to navigate the game menu GUI, as well as change any in-game settings. The credits menu will take you to, well, a credits menu, more or less what you'd expect, although I never see anyone look at this. Settings, when selected, is split into three sections: gameplay, audio and display. On the gameplay tab, you can toggle the train camera cutoff to change the way your train camera works. You can also toggle the pop-up driving tutorial to always activate when you spawn a train, rather than only activating on your first spawn. On the audio tab, you're able to choose a different type of menu music, as well as change specific volume levels for aspects in the game such as station announcements or ambience. Finally, the display tab allows you to change your render distance, which is how far you're able to see, enable or disable visibility blur in the distance, change the streaming throttle to reduce lag from loading in parts, the lower the laggier, overlay dispatching UI over other things, or make your driving HUD appear larger. Let's press play, as I will be coming back to trainings later. You'll be greeted with a role menu, and if you're new to the game, it should show an option to be a passenger or a driver. The rest of the roles are locked, which are related to trainings. Again, I'll be explaining trainings later. The roles will also be unlocked if you are playing on a private server, which costs 75 Robux. This next section shows you the basics of spawning and being a passenger across the Stepford County network. The passenger option on the role menu brings you to this page, where you can select an operator. Clicking one of these as seen here on the left panel will list all the stations at which the operator can stop at. You can click on these, and you'll be presented with a list of possible spawn locations on the right panel. Many stations only have one entrance. One will be selected by default, though you can change your spawn location by clicking on a different spawn. Once everything is ready, you will be able to press the blue spawn button in the bottom left of the menu UI. The game will prepare your spawn, and your Roblox character will appear in your desired location. You can obviously walk around, though if this proves too slow for you, then you are able to hold W and Shift together in order to run. Sadly, this does not work on mobile. By pressing M, you are able to view the network map if you are lost, or of course if you're interested. Now, it's noteworthy that you're not permitted to parkour on railway infrastructure or on top of buildings across the map. This counts as trespassing, and it can get you either demoted or kicked from the game. If you really want to do this, you can purchase a private server and trespass as much as you want. To get back to the menu, you can of course reset your character just like any Roblox game, or you can hover over the side menu and select a stage of the menu to navigate to. Alright, now I'm going to be going over the basics of driving a train in SCR. There are already full in-depth tutorials on YouTube that you can watch, though here I'm going to briefly summarise everything you'll need to know as quickly as I can. Upon selecting the driver role, you can select an operator to drive on. If you're new to the game, you'll most likely select Connect to find the free train, the Class 357. You will notice that the rest of the trains require you to buy them with points, or gather experience to unlock them. You can earn points and experience by driving around the network and completing other jobs, although if you're too lazy, then there is a drop-down menu below the counters with a page where you are able to buy points using Robux. Experience can only be earned rather than bought. You can buy a train by selecting it, then pressing the green Buy button at the bottom of the screen. If you selected a train that you already own, everyone should own the Class 357, you will be presented with a list of routes which you can drive, which also cost points. The route between Stepford Victoria and Stepford Airport Central is also free, so you can select that and press the blue Drive button. You are then presented with a list of your stops, and you can select any of the depots in white text to spawn your train. Now I'm going to give you a brief guide on how to drive a train, so you can skip all the steps on the driving tutorial pop-up and instead listen to this video. The left of the HUD will show you your next stop, how far away it is from your location, and your state of earliness or lateness. A clock with local British time is also provided. Oh yes, and we don't talk about head codes. They are complicated and you'll learn about them if you're reading guides or attending trainings for other ranks. Your speed indicator and throttle comes next, with your current speed and the speed limit number in smaller text below it. To increase or decrease speed, you can press W and S on your keyboard respectively, or use the up and down keys. Next is the control panel. This activates the map of your specific operator and can be toggled with M. This is your schedule, which can be toggled with D. This is your train tone, which can be sounded using H. This button changes the position of your camera and can be toggled using C. This button is the door toggle for stations and can be activated with the T keybind. This button is used to accept incoming guard requests in case anyone requests to be a guard. And below it is the guard buzzer, which can be activated with T when your guard activates it first. Finally is the automatic warning system, which warns you of incoming caution or danger signal aspects. You can deactivate this by pressing Q, followed by the status of your next signal to pass through. Now I'm going to explain the signals. Danger, red, signals mean you should stop your train completely outside them. Caution, yellow, signals mean that there is an upcoming junction or danger aspect for which you should slow down to 45 miles per hour or less when passing through. Precaution, or double yellow signals, mean you should proceed at a usual speed, but prepare for caution aspects. And proceed, green, means you should pass through at the appropriate speed limit. Shunt signals can also be found in various depots, where white signal aspects mean you can pass through, and red signal aspects mean you should stop your train. Car stop markers at stations can be tricky to understand at first, but they're quite simple to understand. They are there to ensure your train stops in the correct place on the platform. You must count the number of coaches your train has, and stop at the car stop marker with the corresponding number. If your number is not present, you must stop at the next highest car stop marker. If that doesn't exist either, you should stop at the S car stop. A good example is here at St Helens Bridge. If you have a 2-car train, you can stop at the 4-car marker, and if you have a 5-car train, you can stop at the S car marker. Because the next highest number from a 2-car train is 4, which is displayed at St Helens Bridge, and a 5-car train does not have any higher car markers, therefore it will stop at the S car marker. Now don't worry, it's easy to misunderstand, but once you get the hang of it, you'll know it like the back of your hand. Finally, I'll go over some basic driving rules. Always follow the allocated speed limit unless you're being stopped by signals, meaning you shouldn't go slow due to holding up the line, and you shouldn't overspeed as a safety precaution. Make sure not to skip any stations you're scheduled to stop at, and approach stations at a slow speed to avoid overshooting the platform. If you are scheduled to pass a station, you will be notified on your HUD. Stopping at a station involves following the instructions displayed on your screen above the HUD, which are easy to follow, so there isn't a need for an explanation here. Upon the completion of a route, you are able to exit the menu, continue your route and go backwards, or change to a different route if you have bought any. And there you go, that's a basic guide to driving in SCR, and oh boy, that was a mouthful to say. I recommend this video made by Dravo for a full in-depth guide. It's slightly outdated, but it will do the job nevertheless. For this final section, I'm going to go over how to join a training session in SCR using my alternative account. You will first need to join the SCR group to obtain the trainee driver rank. The link to that is in the description. You must then gather 60 in-game experience to attend your qualified driver training. Complete this theory quiz, which I'm not going to show the answers to as it doesn't make much sense for the viewers of this video to cheat, and you should be directed to a page in which you can select training session times which best fit you. All times are in BST or whichever time zone the game says, so you will need to convert the time if you're not in the UK. This is not compulsory, as you are still able to join sessions if there is an empty space when it starts. You are also able to see when certain trainings are on the SCR training calendar, link in the description as always. When it is time to join, you should see the training tab with a button to join the session, and you can enter the queue to join and have a go at the training. Now simply load up the game and await instructions from the supervisors. This is a similar system for ranking up to Dispatcher and Guard respectively, though Dispatcher requires 360 experience and Guard requires 540 experience. You will need to follow updates on the SCR official Discord if you're at least 13 years of age, if you wish to apply for the Signaler role. Last but not least, by pressing this button, you can access the full guide booklets for driving, dispatching and guarding. I recommend reading these if you need a refresher on their rules and principles. Before the end, I think it's worth mentioning that buying a private server in Stepford County Railway costs 75 Robux per month, and private servers will unlock all roles for you to play around with. You are also allowed to trespass as much as you like on private servers. This is why all of my videos are recorded on these private servers. The yellowy orange player list icon is also citation that it is actually a private server. That should be everything you need to know about playing SCR for the first few times, and so hopefully in this video I have explained everything well and helped you to operate Stepford County Railway. It's an incredible game, and you can't really enjoy it if you don't know how to play it. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and if you really feel like it, then I would appreciate a subscription, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.